I am a forensic accountant. I focus on cryptocurrency investigations and training of law enforcement on how to investigate cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is good because it cut out the middleman. It gives more opportunity to marginalized group and people who otherwise maybe would not have access to like a traditional bank account or an investment opportunity. I love that it provided more women with the opportunity to have access to an investment account or a bank account. We can just go online, buy, and then hold it on our own. If you think that your money in your bank account is safer than a Bitcoin, I would not necessarily agree with that. It's easier to trace because it is on a public blockchain that is transparent and that it cannot be messed with. Let's say I send you 1 Bitcoin. The moment you receive that Bitcoin, I can trace it all the way to the end until it gets cashed out within 10 minutes. Bad guys don't want cryptocurrency. They want cash just like everybody else. Don't invest into cryptocurrency if somebody sent you a message on Facebook Messenger or Instagram or TikTok or even your regular text messaging app. Bitcoin ATMs are like huge money laundering machine, very loosely regulated. If you want to invest into Bitcoin, go to a registered exchange that it's registered in United States. That is the safest way to do it. I think Bitcoin inherently, it is a safe currency. There is education issue, resource issue, US policy issue. Bitcoin is not going to change. The safety part is really what is getting a lot of people not to invest in it.
Welcome to Sat Chats, the Bitcoin podcast where we chat about sats. Sats are the smallest part of a Bitcoin the same way pennies are the smallest part of a dollar. With Sat Chats, we are building the world's biggest Bitcoin welcome center to serve as your gateway to generational wealth. So if you are brand new to Bitcoin, we want to chat about sats with you. Head to satchats.com to grab your slot in the studio today. I'm your host, Stuart, Bitcoin Dad.
And I'm Chris, founder and CEO of Ithaca Hummus.
And we have got number 113, Aleks, in the virtual studio today. And she is going to be teaching us and our Satillionaires about why Bitcoin is good and also how to do it safely.
Safety first.
Safety first. We used to say Safedine first, didn't we? But safety.
You did.
I did. Yeah. I still think that's pretty clever. Safedine first.
We know.
T-shirt alert. T-shirt alert. But safety first as well, right? Because even though Bitcoin is good, there are bad people who use it. So, Aleks, why don't you take a minute to introduce yourself to our Satillionaires, and then let's get right into it.
Thank you for the intro. So my name is Aleks Ring, and I am a forensic accountant. I focus on cryptocurrency investigations and training of law enforcement on how to investigate cryptocurrency. I am a pro-crypto person, so don't fear. And I do a lot of volunteer work as well on crypto compliance, crypto safety, and scam prevention with a nonprofit organization called Operation Shamrock.
Okay, so why is Bitcoin good?
Bitcoin is good because it's innovative and because it, number one, it cut out the middleman, and I love that. Number two, it gives more opportunity to marginalized group and people who otherwise maybe would not have access to an account, to like a traditional bank account or an investment opportunity. I think it's great for places where currency, like their local currency, is not stable. Bitcoin provides kind of that stability. I love that it provided more women with the opportunity to have access to an investment account or a bank account. I know Amanda Wick did talk about this on your podcast as well, that, not that long time ago, women were not allowed to have a bank account on their own. And now we have access to this amazing thing where we can just go online, buy cryptocurrency and then hold it on our own. And we really don't have to disclose it to anybody that we do have it. So there are a lot of great things around Bitcoin. I love that is on a blockchain, which is transparent. I know we're going to touch upon like how to investigate cryptocurrency, how to trace it and stuff. But as a forensic accountant, I've been doing this for 10 years. And if you're trying to trace fiat currency, right, like your bank account, somebody steals $10,000 out of your bank account, that is a very long and painful process to get subpoenas to the bank, to get all these things, right? Like it can take months or years trying to trace that money that was stolen. With cryptocurrency is so much different. It's so much easier because everything is there, everything is transparent, which to me it also adds a layer of safety. So like I said, there are a lot of great things about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is definitely my favorite cryptocurrency, the golden child of crypto. But I think we also have to mention that uh, there's some consumer protections that need to be in place in order to make it even safer for use.
Aleks, a lot of people who don't have Bitcoin and come on the show or that I speak with have this feeling that because dollars are in a bank or, protected by the bank, quote unquote, they feel that it's trustworthy because they can trust the bank. But it almost seems like you're saying that Bitcoin is more trustworthy because of the transparency on the blockchain. Is that kind of what you're saying, or your position?
I would say if you think that your money in your bank account is safer than a Bitcoin, I would not necessarily agree with that. Money can be stolen if it's digital currency or if it's cash sitting in a bank vault, right? Like it doesn't prevent from being stolen. I would say it is more transparent than fiat currency sitting in a vault, right, inside Wells Fargo in Main Street or whatever. I think it is easier to investigate. It's easier to trace. Let's put it that way. It's easier to trace because it is on a public blockchain that is transparent and that it cannot be messed with. As a forensic accountant, I love that because you can fudge the numbers in a bank, right? You can cook the books, you can do all these things, and it can take years for people to discover it. Blockchain, you cannot mess with it. If there is a transaction that is made, I send money to you, I send you $1,000 in Bitcoin, that is going to be recorded on the public blockchain, and none of us can mess with it, right? It cannot be reversed. I cannot say, well, I only send you $900, or you can say, well, Aleks didn't send me any money. It is there, it is recorded, and it is transparent, it is instant, it's in real time. So the safety feature of it, it's right there on the public blockchain. And I think there's a misconception. People say, well, it's digital, it doesn't exist, so I don't like to invest in it. I come to this analogy where, okay, do you invest into stock market? Because yes, you're investing into Apple, but Apple may be cooking the books the same way Enron did, right? And Enron collapsed and left everybody with nothing. So like the thinking that you are more safe investing into US dollars or stock market rather than cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin specifically, Bitcoin that has been on the rise, right, for years now. I think there's definitely misconception like what safety looks like. But I think just because it's digital and you can't touch it, I think that leaves people a little bit unsure if they want to invest in it.
It's like if you could imagine taking $100 bill with the serial number on it and going and giving it to a bank and being able to trace that physical $100 bill from where I give it to the bank, and then the bank does the next thing with it, and the next thing, and the next thing. It's almost as if you're saying Bitcoin is trackable and traceable all the way down to that serial number on the physical bill point.
Yes, absolutely. So let's say I send you 1 Bitcoin. The moment you receive that Bitcoin, that is recorded on the blockchain, we can check it right now, right? The moment I send you and it gets verified on the blockchain, it is recorded there. If you turn around and send that Bitcoin to somebody else, and then that somebody else sends it to, right? It's moving through the blockchain and is recorded in real time. If you go to Blockchain Explorer, if you go to Arkham Intelligence, there are all these free public websites that do track public blockchain in real time. You can see how that crypto is moving. I don't need law enforcement. I don't need my bank. I don't need anybody. I just need access to the internet, this website where I can track how that one Bitcoin is moving through the blockchain. If I focus obviously on illicit financing, so if I am tracing that Bitcoin, I want to see where is going to be a cash out point, what we call. Cash out point is going to be an exchange, whether it's centralized or decentralized, but is going to be an exchange. If we're speaking Bitcoin specifically, it's most likely going to be a centralized exchange because they need to convert that Bitcoin into cash. I can trace it all the way from starting point from when I sent that one Bitcoin all the way to 5 other people that it moved hands. And I can say, okay, that thing went into Coinbase. And I can do that within 10 minutes, right? If you turn around, said one Bitcoin, and that all happened in the same day. And usually that's how money laundering works, right? They want to get it off. I always say bad guys don't want cryptocurrency, right? They want cash just like everybody else. So if they're moving that Bitcoin and I can trace it and I can say, okay, that thing went into Coinbase, now I can call law enforcement and say, okay, you need to issue a subpoena to Coinbase because it moved. And I can trace it not only because it's a Bitcoin, I can trace it because I have a stamp, right? Time and date stamp. And I know it was one Bitcoin and I'm tracing that one Bitcoin through the entire blockchain. And you cannot do that with cash, right? And that's the beauty of it. And I think that's a aspect of it that people are not taking into consideration when they're saying, okay, but I don't trust cryptocurrency because it's digital. Okay, but why don't you trust it that it's digital? Because it is recorded digitally and you can trace it much faster and much easier than any other type of currency.
I can remember in the 90s, Aleks, that, we would have fun with the dollar system by taking that. It wasn't $100 bill back in my day. It might have been like a $5 bill, but you would like try to write something on it with a Sharpie and pay for something. And then like you wanted to see if that $5 bill would somehow come back to you, with your initials on it, because as soon as you put that piece of cash out there, who knows where it goes, right? It is not traceable by any stretch of the imagination. And what I'm hearing from you so far is that Bitcoin is good because it helps underprivileged communities access this money/investment of the future. It might be women here in America. It might be any old body in a third world country. It might be someone in a place where the currency is not reliable or it's inflating well beyond what we experience here. And I do, stop to think sometimes about how in America, we often focus on Bitcoin as an investment opportunity, and it completely buries the story of global adoption. People just using it as money worldwide. What do you think is going to happen when that catches on? Because it is so useful worldwide. But, to take a step beyond Bitcoin, helping different communities, you just have this whole traceability, trackability, transparency. I heard you say that it could take sometimes years to determine where cash transactions have gone, maybe even if they're digital through a bank, because the bank may not be transparent. It might also be cooking its books. If I were a brand new person and I looked at Bitcoin's ability to just send money from one person to the other and have it recorded for everyone to see, and I look at this gigantic financial monstrosity that was built up over several centuries, one of those is going to look a lot easier and safer and trustworthy than the other one.
Well, that's a good point, because consumers in a free market always move toward the solution that is better for them, and you can make those comparisons of cash versus Bitcoin. And, the side of the chart with Bitcoin is just full of benefits for the consumer, and the cash is full of benefits for banks, the Federal Reserve, the government. It's not a consumer driven technology, if you will, cash. Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
And this is just one reason. I mean, you're talking about an unprecedented level of transparency and trackability that adds value to the consumer. Anytime I see that, that's something that I think is valuable as we move into the future.
Right. So, Aleks, my understanding of the Bitcoin blockchain is that you've got an address, right? And it's sending Bitcoin to another address. And these addresses, sometimes it's like, BC1, Q4, Z77. I mean, it doesn't say Stewart. So how do you add that layer of information on top through your blockchain analysis skill set that can actually peel back some of the pseudonymity, so to speak, of those addresses, right? Because everything Bitcoin does is for you to see, but that doesn't necessarily mean who is sending the, how do you do that?
I'm glad you're bringing this up, because a lot of people think that Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is anonymous, and that is just not the case. Okay. And yes, when it comes to wallet addresses, it is different than your regular bank account, right? Because if I'm sending money to you through like my Bank of America or whatever, it's going to have my name and it's going to have your name, and it's going to have a number that is going to represent my bank account and then your bank account. With cryptocurrency, it's similar, but there is no names attached to it. Okay. So let's say the only names that we do have is through, if we bought that cryptocurrency through a centralized exchange, which has collected KYC information, right? Know your customer. And that is our ID, maybe our social security card, our address, and just some basic information that your regular bank as well collects. But the wallet address that I have my Bitcoin sitting in is just alphanumerical sets, right? And it goes from 25 to 34 numbers or digits. And I'm going to send one Bitcoin to you, and it's going to have a similar address, right? It's just going to be random numbers and letters. But I have a starting point. Let's say I send my one Bitcoin and you're a scammer. And I have a starting point now because I know, number one, my address, right, where that one Bitcoin was sitting. And I know your address because I send that money to you. Now I can look up your address on the blockchain and I can say, okay, this address moved money here. And that may just happen to be Coinbase, right? Maybe you just didn't want to play the game on the blockchain and you wanted to cash out right away that one Bitcoin. Well, I can see how that is moving, right? And I can see that you send it to Coinbase, and then I can call Coinbase and find out who you are. Because if you're cashing out at an exchange, they're collecting information on you, regardless if you live in the United States or no. But let's say you want to move money through the blockchain and you're trying to kind of hide your way of how you're moving money. I can still trace the pattern because I know that I send one Bitcoin, I can see how that Bitcoin is moving, just like in previous scenario where I was explaining how it moves through the blockchain. So as long as I know the starting point and I know where that money was sent, I can trace it all the way to the end until it gets cashed out, right? And I can do that at home. I do it very often sitting at this desk or sometimes in my bed when it's like 11 p.m., right? And I can't sleep because I just got a case. And I'm doing it right on my computer. That is, to me, somebody who has been in counter threat finance, who has been a forensic accountant for a very long time, That is just not the case of how you do it, right? With regular traditional fiat currency. And so while crypto is masking on the public blockchain, if you look up all these addresses, we're not going to see my name, your name, anybody's name, right? But there are ways of tracing it and connecting the dots. And I do want to just go back to the point that you were making earlier, and you said, crypto seems like it's a safe thing. Bitcoin seems like a safer thing than a bank account and whatnot. I think the problem that we're seeing with crypto and where a lot of people are uh, struggling to justify why they should invest into Bitcoin is because number one, it's new. Number two, there's not a lot of regulations around it. And number three, law enforcement doesn't really know how to handle it. But I think that is not a cryptocurrency issue. That is education issue. That is a resource issue. That is US policy issue, right? But that is not a cryptocurrency issue. That Bitcoin is not going to change. The blockchain is not going to change because we cannot alter the blockchain. We cannot alter the Bitcoin, right? How it's mined, how it's created, how all of these things are going to stay. The only thing that we can do is educate more people, educate law enforcement, put more consumer protections in place, not overregulate crypto. Crypto is not supposed to be regulated. It's a decentralized currency, right? We want to cut out the middleman. We cannot overregulate it, but we can put in consumer protection laws in place and make it a safer industry, not per se a safer currency. I think inherently it is a safe currency, but there are just all these other things that are not in place currently that I think a lot of people are kind of wary, like, oh, should I invest into this or no?
Why don't you tell our audience, if they're sitting on the edge of their seat right now and they're like, I want to buy Bitcoin because I don't want to miss out anymore. All I want to know is how to do it safely.
Okay.
Then let's get into some of the classic pitfalls that we can help them. Yeah. So Aleks, how can I invest for the very first time in Bitcoin if I'm sitting here with a gigantic amount of FOMO right now?
If you want to invest into Bitcoin, go to a registered centralized exchange. That is my number one advice. Go to Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, insert crypto exchange that it's registered in United States. Go make an account just like you will make your bank account. Submit all your information, put that money in, buy Bitcoin, right? That is the safest way to do it. If you don't want to open up an account like that, I have another option for you. A lot of brokerage companies like Charles Schwab, Edward Jones, like all these like major companies that are doing stock market, they now have options for cryptocurrency. The investors over there are certified cryptocurrency investors. Okay. Those are legitimate companies. If you don't want to mess with it yourself, you don't want to go through the process of opening up Coinbase account, putting all this info, and then tracking the market and all these things, you can invest through, let's say, Charles Schwab, and they can manage that money for you. To me, that is a safer option if you don't want to, like if you kind of want to invest into Bitcoin as an investment per se, like a regular stock market investment. But if you want to have a control over it and you want to trade and you want to send and do all these things, to me that is the safest. Those are two safest options, right? Centralized exchange or a brokerage organization that is registered as well. That's a key word, right? How not to invest into cryptocurrency is everything else. Don't invest into cryptocurrency if somebody sent you a message, right? And you started chatting on either Facebook Messenger or Instagram or TikTok or even your regular text messaging app, where somebody is either romantically interested in you, somebody's offering you a job opportunity where you have to invest cryptocurrency to start that job. law enforcement is calling you and telling you that you have to purchase crypto in order to pay this fine because there is a arrest warrant out for you. Those are all things that you should not be doing, right? You should not be putting cryptocurrency into, especially Bitcoin ATMs. Crypto ATMs are like things that keep me up at night, because they're a huge money laundering machine. And if somebody's telling you, oh, go invest cryptocurrency, but go to a Bitcoin ATM and do it that way, they're predatory. They're very loosely regulated. They're only regulated on a federal level, not regulated on a state level. So like I live in New Hampshire. In state of New Hampshire, they're not recognized as money transmitters, so they don't have to register with state. How is some machine that operates like an ATM not a registered money transmitter, right? And so they're evading a lot of regulations. And if you put money into a Bitcoin ATM thinking that you're purchasing Bitcoin, that money is most likely gone. We talked about a statistic where I said the average user here in New Hampshire on the seacoast for a Bitcoin ATM is 67. 67-year-old has no business being near Bitcoin ATM trying to invest money and make money and stuff, right? Like go to Coinbase or whatever, exchange, open up an account, buy Bitcoin. Go to Edward Jones or Fidelity or whatever, whatever brokerage organization is dealing with crypto and do it that way. It's safe. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to lose your sleep. It's a great way to make extra money, right? Without thinking, oh my God, did I just send all of my life savings into a scam account, right? So those would be my recommendations.
It sounds like Bitcoin ATMs is a hard no for you. And I'm interested here because like at a Food Lion, I saw one of those like Coinstar coin counting machines where you could put the coins in and then you could choose to have it delivered to you as Bitcoin or something like that. I've also seen Bitcoin ATMs behind the Costco checkout, right? So some of these must be okay, or are they all not okay?
They're all sketchy because to me, they do not have a legitimate purpose. And I always challenge everybody in crypto space to give me a legitimate reason why you would use a crypto ATM. If I'm a legitimate crypto investor and I own some Bitcoin and I want to pay you in Bitcoin, I'm not going to do it through a crypto ATM that's going to charge me 25% fee, or it's going to charge you 25% fee. I'm going to do it through my account, right? My centralized exchange account or my non-custodial wallet or whatever the case may be, right? But I'm going to send it directly to you. Why would I use the middleman that's going to rip us off, with these predatory fees? To me, that makes no sense, right? If you're a legitimate investor. But what does make sense is that crypto ATMs are usually placed in a high drug trafficking areas, right? On the borders between states, on the borders between countries, in low income areas. That is where you have a lot of crypto ATMs. There is a whole study that was done on this, that about 34% of crypto ATMs in United States are all placed in high drug trafficking areas. Okay. And so you take that statistic along with the statistic that 67-year-olds are average users of Bitcoin ATM. To me, that doesn't have that's not a good outcome, and it doesn't do anything for the safety of cryptocurrency space, right? Because you hear that and you're like, okay, I'm not dealing with crypto. I'm just gonna stick to my stock market and my bank account, right? My high yield savings, and that's it. So I I don't know. If you have a better use for crypto ATM, I'm very eager to hear it.
I don't have any. I mean, it's first of all, just hearing that they charge 25% is like,
I'm out.
Yeah, no, thank you. What works for us is to buy Bitcoin off of an exchange. The exchange that we like here on the show is called Bitcoin Well. They're a non-custodial exchange. It goes right in, the transaction goes right into our wallet. And I don't want to assume your reasoning for recommending to beginners to, instead of that, use a platform like Coinbase. But I would be interested in hearing you just talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about beginners, about people who do not understand fully cryptocurrency, but are interested and maybe have FOMO, right? And they're like, hey, I have extra money sitting and maybe I want to invest in it, but I'm not really sure how to do that. And I'm not really sure it's safe. Okay, don't think about it, right? Go to centralized exchange and do it that way. Or like I said, go to a brokerage firm. But if you do have a little more experience, if you kind of know what you're doing with investing, right? And I would assume that you guys are at that level. You kind of know what you're doing. You know, you probably did some research. You're like, okay, this broker is legitimate. I know exactly how to do it. I know if I pay them this much, they're going to give me this much, right? Like, I don't have anything against brokers, but I do have an issue when an inexperienced person who is trying to get an investment gets screwed over, right, by using a way that maybe is not at their level. Okay, I do a lot of community classes in my area where I go to rec centers and senior centers and libraries and stuff, and I talk about scam prevention and stuff. And I talk about safety of cryptocurrency. And I always say like cryptocurrency is great. I'm pro crypto. Um, and a lot of people that do come to these events are retirees, senior 65 plus, and they would ask me, well, should I invest into cryptocurrency because you're saying cryptocurrency is great, and should I invest? And I'm like, okay, how old are you, right? Like if you're in your 70s, don't please don't get into crypto space because you probably are struggling to use a computer. And that is not like, oh my God, they're stupid or whatever. Like, but it's just a reality, right? Like we all have aging parents and we know like the struggles that come with that, using cell phone, using applications, using all these things, right? And so it's like, okay, if you want to invest into cryptocurrency because you're so adamant about it, because you heard that your grandson made, a couple of $100,000 on investing in Bitcoin early, ask that grandson to do it for you, right? Like, please don't go as a 70-something-year-old online and get into a Facebook group that's going to tell you, oh, use this OTC broker and you're going to make millions. Like, that is the risk that I am afraid of. It's not that I don't agree with that type of investing, but I do want to make sure that there is a level of investing for every type of investor, right? And so I think younger generations are more digitally friendly. And so it is easier for us to do research and understand, okay, OTC broker and decentralized exchanges and non-custodial wallets and stuff. I can probably figure it out much faster than my 78-year-old, father-in-law who gets scam calls every single day and they're constantly bombarding him, with this type of information.
I do believe that a lot of people, it's okay to get your start. You might even have an app on your phone already, like Venmo or Cash App or PayPal or Robinhood, where you can play with it a little bit and start the learning journey that might end with you saying, hey, one thing that, Aleks really likes about Bitcoin is that it is traceable, it's transparent, it's trustworthy. One thing I really like about it is that I can own it. I don't own all of the TV and movies I stream every night. I don't technically own my house because the bank's still rocking with it. I got a subscription to like everything these days. Like there's not even like, I don't own any of my own music. I subscribe to all of it. It's like Bitcoin's something that I can own. So it sounds like, even though Bitcoin is good, you want to start off. I mean, it's almost like the same rules apply between cybersecurity and Bitcoin, right? Which is you need to watch out for people who want to scam you. And, unless you're very skilled in this area, you should assume every single last piece of communication from people you don't know, numbers you don't recognize, email addresses you don't recognize are scams. And you should also, take a look at that email you get from, microsaft.com saying that your computer has a virus and you need to pay $300. It's like, what's microsaft.com? Like, come on, guys. So, would you agree that like all of the normal guidelines for being safe online apply to Bitcoin as well? And it's not necessarily that Bitcoin is a scary place. It's just that scammers are going to scam, whether it's cash, gift cards, crypto, or Bitcoin. And you just need to be vigilant when you're online, whether you're an old person or even like a teenager too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up the point of like Cash App, Robinhood and stuff, because that's the other thing that I forgot to mention. That is a great way to start investing small, right? Like you don't have to, if you're thinking that you should invest in Bitcoin because it's over $100,000, like that shouldn't stop you from investing in it. You can buy fractions, right? Like you can buy fractions of a stock, you can buy fractions of a Bitcoin. So I do 100% agree with that. Um, and the same way, like I said, with centralized exchanges and brokerage firms use registered apps, right? Like Robinhood and Cash App, and I think PayPal does it now too. Like those are major companies that are not going to screw you over. Um, and uh, I think with with cryptocurrency, there is this the safety part is really what is getting a lot of people not to invest in it. But I think we're not focusing enough attention to, okay, but is your bank account really that safe, right? Is your brokerage account with all your stocks this, like, do you think that there's no scams or all these other things happening with every other aspect of it, right? Like crypto is not specifically used for nefarious things, for illicit financing, for scamming, but it is getting a lot of press right now because number one, it's new, it's going mainstream, right? Like it's talked about in the mainstream news. The president talks about it. We're doing, we just had a whole week with regulations in Washington D.C. So like it gets a lot of publicity. What also gets a lot of publicity is all these scams, and so there is like this aspect of it, like okay, this is not a safe thing for me to do. But to your point, even if you are a senior or if you're a teenager, the same rules apply when it comes to safety of your account. Okay. So it doesn't matter how you bought your crypto. It's what are you doing with this crypto as well? And if you bought cryptocurrency through an OTC broker and you're keeping it in a non-custodial wallet, that's great. But if somebody contacts you and tells you, or you start talking to somebody online, or you see this Facebook investment group, and I always go back to Facebook because Meta is like a breeding environment for scams that they're absolutely doing nothing about. Uh, if somebody's telling you, hey, if you send me this one Bitcoin, I'm going to turn it around and give you like 200% back or whatever, that's a scam, right? So it's not just like, okay, how do we purchase crypto safely, but how do we keep that crypto safe?
Yeah.
And keeping that crypto safe is like, we're not sending it to strangers. We're not investing into some random investment schemes that we found online or because somebody contacted us on TikTok or we saw this viral video or whatever. Like we need to be smart with our investing and keeping our crypto safe as well.
Right. And I've even seen like YouTube Live where someone has used AI to make it seem like Elon Musk and or Michael Saylor are broadcasting live on YouTube about how you need to go to this one area and go ahead and send some money to this. It's like, wow. It even takes me 3 to 6 seconds to recognize that his mouth isn't quite moving right. He's starting to repeat himself. Like it's pretty wild. But I think that we have done a good job covering why a blockchain analysis expert / forensic accountant feels like Bitcoin is good and how to get started safely. And I know there's so much more to it, but we'll never fit it all into a single chat about sats. So we do ask each of our guests if they would be willing to come back on in 9 months to give us an update on their Bitcoin baby. Would you be willing to do that for us, Aleks?
Sure.
Okay, so let's recap the conversation here with Aleks. She is a very highly experienced forensic accountant, blockchain analysis expert. If you are doing the wrong thing on the internet, she might get you at 11 p.m. in her bed, straight chasing down criminales from her bed. She ain't on the street, busting down doors. She's doing it on a laptop in her bed at night. Woof. I mean,
she's gonna get you.
And one of the thoughts I had was like, how much more efficient at finding evildoers is that? I mean, Bitcoin is so much more efficient in so many ways that we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of how much more efficient it is.
I'd be wearing a bulletproof vest in bed myself. Alex probably doesn't. Safety first.
You see the red dot, you're like,
Yeah.
Come through the window.
Yeah.
So, what we started off with was, hey, Bitcoin is good. Bitcoin helps everyone invest in a more prosperous future for themselves. Bitcoin also acts as a safe haven for money if you're in a country that really isn't doing a good job of managing the money that they print for themselves, right? So it's really worth pointing out that Bitcoin has a massive, massive adoption potential still ahead of it worldwide among men, women, children, old people, young people, all races, all countries, everywhere, because it's money that works online. Whether your nation state is good at managing its money or not, whether you have a bank account or not. You know?
And we know it's a better money. We know it's a better money. The people who know about and understand Bitcoin know that it's better. As more people learn that too, that adoption rate will scale.
Exactly. And one way that we can help more people adopt Bitcoin and stack their first sats is to make the distinction between Bitcoin being good and bad people doing things that give people a bad taste in their mind when they think about Bitcoin, right? Like people that are on it, Facebook is what I heard, not a great place to go because there's lots of scams there. Bitcoin ATMs, not a great place to go because there's lots of scams there. Who is the predominant user of Bitcoin ATMs? The same people who are the predominant users of Facebook, like 67-year-old people. Facebook ain't what it was when I signed up and you still had to have a college address.
No.
It's a place where old people go to watch AI videos of babies doing things they can't do. And they're like, oh my God, your baby's so cute. It's like, that's a fake video, bro. That's not a real video. How can you not see that, right? So, the way to get started safely is to go to a centralized exchange. Don't add us, hardcore Bitcoin. We know you're there. We love you. Please support us. We love you. But get started with Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, or you might even, like my Uncle Mike, have Cash App and not even know, like, oh, I can kind of get some Bitcoin through this thing I already have. So just go ahead and get started, but do it through a place that kind of has to operate in the public view, maybe respond to subpoenas if and when somebody is moving their Bitcoin along the blockchain to try to cash out.
Publish audited financials, quarterly calls. I mean,
all that
stuff. Those are all good things.
All that stuff. But what we heard from you is that, hey, some of these headlines, they get a lot of attention, because negativity is how you get clicks online. There's not very many news headlines that say person quietly bought Bitcoin over a long period of time is happy with himself or herself.
No.
That's not a news article that like goes viral every single day. And it's a shame.
I know.
There should be more stories of people like, yeah, I just started buying Bitcoin and years later, I'm glad I did.
Yeah. It's that simple.
So.
The other thing that dawned on me while you were talking, Alex, is that there are just as many pitfalls and opportunities to get scammed in the traditional financial system. The stock market, it crashes. If you hold cash, there's inflation and the value of that cash goes down over time. The difference is those things are just normalized. They've just been normalized. We've accepted them as just the way things are. Mm-hmm. The real estate market crashes in 2008. People lost massive amounts of wealth, more wealth than has ever been made or lost in Bitcoin. Guarantee you. But in Bitcoin and in crypto, it makes the headlines. And I think partially it's just because it's a new thing. It's a new thing. It's no one's fault. It's just where we're at in the life cycle. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
But I wish people could wrap their arms around this a little bit more and understand that it's no more risky than anything else you could do with your hard-earned value.
Right. Yeah, imagine some old coot in like 1912 being like, those banks, they're a scam. They say you put your money with them. I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? Things get normalized over decades for sure. So really interesting episode here, Alex. I hope that you Satillionaires out there got a lot of value out of why Alex feels Bitcoin is good and how to get started safely. If you liked today's episode, we release episodes just like this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 a.m. And on Fridays, we have a nice live game show where you can play for 1 million sats. So subscribe, turn on the notifications if you can. Let's crunch on some hummus.
All right. Our founding sponsor here at Sat Chats is, does that balance on his head? Is Ithaca Hummus.
Do I need to get my phone out of like the blast radius? This stuff's so thick though, it won't spill even if it tips over.
I'll spot you.
All
right. We got the Graza Ithaca collab. It's so sea good. Salt and olive oil flavor. It's like the #1 hummus everywhere we have it on shelves. It's killing it.
I could wear this like cologne.
Yeah. Okay.
Love the fragrance coming off of this sucker. You ready?
Huh? Yeah. Feel good. Alex, have you ever heard of Ithaca hummus?
I did. Actually, I did. I did try it.
Oh, what flavor did you try?
Original. I'm very plain when it comes to hummus.
Hey, I'm a classic man.
Last thing we do on the show as a small token of our appreciation for you, your time, your knowledge, you came, you shared with us and our audience. And so we're going to offer you your choice between $50 and $50 worth of Bitcoin, which at today's exchange rate is 44,561 sats, or $50. What's it going to be?
You said cash or crypto? Is that the question?
Cash or Bitcoin? Cash or Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Cash.
We're gonna get this. Yeah. This is you want the Bitcoin? Yes, sir.
Bitcoin.
Oh.
Yep.
Why take this stuff? It's impossible to trace. Like, what if we send it to our bank and then, they're cooking their books and then they flip the script and then they run into a subprime mortgage and it crashes, that never gets to you.
10% later, it finally gets to you.
Yeah, after they've made $5 off that 50 for no reason, then they'll send it to you. These 44,561 Satoshis are going to go straight to your wallet. You bring our show's scoreboard to 104 guests who stacked the sats, along with 9 who chose the cash. Ugh. That hurts. Where can we send our Satillionaires if they want to interact with you online, or do you want to be found?
I do want to be found. I am on LinkedIn. My name is Aleks Ring, ALEKS RING. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. And if you want to learn more about scams and crypto safety, go to operationshamrock.org. It is not all that scary, but we do want to make sure everybody who is in crypto space is safe. And that is the reason why this nonprofit exists.
Very cool. We'll put both of those in our show notes, along with some information for you Satillionaires. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for your chance at 2 million sats when we reach 10,000 subscribers. You need that public subscription to play our live game show Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern. So, Aleks, on a Friday when you're done catching ne'er-do-wells from your bed, you can hop on YouTube. You can play with us. It's a mix of Bitcoin and Sat Chats trivia. It's a ton of fun. This guy from Pakistan walked away with a month's salary last week, which is insane. You can also sign up to come on the show, satchats.com, and tell us your Bitcoin story or have your Bitcoin questions answered by us.
Yeah.
You can support us by zapping your sats to satchats at getalby.com. Our on-chain address is also in the show notes. Aleks is going to go get our on-chain address. She's going to create a massive portfolio landscape of all of our activity in and out. So we're going to be real good guys online because we know Aleks is watching our Sat Chats Bitcoin address. And if you want to sponsor the show, you can email me directly, show@satchats.com. Thanks so much for watching here today. Sat Chats is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. Also, our guests' views are their own. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.